Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back. Appreciate you all joining us. It's a sunny day outside. So I thought I'd just quickly give a little history as to this event, because I think John has pulled off quite an incredible feat by getting everybody here today. And about 7 or 8 months ago, John and I were just sort of chatting about various things, and we thought, wouldn't it be great if we could put something together that sort of showcased the best of sustainability in London? And the idea was to say, look, 2012 is a big year for London, obviously with the Olympics. We heard a bit about it earlier. And Rio plus 20 is coming up as well, so it's a big year for sustainability generally. And from a very small idea of can we convene the London sustainability cluster to get us to work much more closely together, collaborate more, has emerged this event. And what I wanted everybody to do, if possible, is just to give John and his team a round of applause for pulling this together. So I will be with you shortly, as you can see, according to this slide. What I want to talk about is the role of incumbents in a system. As many of you know, Generation is an investment company. My senior partner and boss will be speaking next, so I'm not going to say too much about it. But we operate within capital markets and financial markets. So what we want to do with this session is really say, there are a number of people that have experienced life within incumbents, within the very powerful organizations that are perceived by many to be part of the problem. And we've got some very interesting folks from finance, energy, and health, as well as from a different angle in terms of an emerging incumbent country, potentially China, to talk about what life is like on the inside, the belly of the beast, if you like, and trying to innovate from the inside. So that's really the kind of theme of this whole session this afternoon. And keep in mind that some of the folks that are going to be speaking would classify themselves as sort of intrapreneurs, so entrepreneurs within very large organizations. Others are very straightforward, no holds bars entrepreneurs, and we have some other thought leaders as well. So an interesting sort of mix of folks. But my perspective is really from the investment community. This is what a lot of people think when they think about finance and capital. Fat cats, right? Now, finance plays a critical role in sustainability. I think what we've seen is that there is a good, bad, and ugly of the financial markets. The good is clearly that we're facilitating the access to capital to many, many millions of people. You don't need that argument. There's been a democratization of share ownership through public equity markets. We're funding lots of small companies through private equity. There's a de-risking of many countries through, basically the spreading of debt. Lots of different very good things about the system. There's lots of very bad things about the incumbent financial system. Not quite catastrophic things yet, but there's a lot of bad things. Rising inequality, the 1% just drifting off into some gated community with all their wealth, leaving the rest of the 99 or whatever percentage you want to use as just scrabbling with record level Gini coefficients. So the ugly is often the side that we've been witnessing with some very perverse behavior by some of the very large financial system players. And that could be deliberately stifling innovation in regulatory movements. That could be posturing on one hand that they want change on a system level, but on the other hand, very much sort of financing a political process that is obsessed with the status quo. Money makes the world go round. I think we know that, and we're going to hear more about it. In terms of long-termism and sustainability, what are capital market players doing? I've been in this space a long time, and I'm actually quite encouraged by how much is going on the ground today in terms of very big players being involved with sustainability in the capital allocation decision-making process. The PRI, many of you know, but what was interesting about the PRI, which are really a set of investment principles that have today been adopted by $30 trillion of capital, which is 20% of the world's capital, is committed to moving their investment strategies to principles of responsible investing. That is a phenomenal number. So the difference between committing to principles and implementing, investment strategies is a very complicated journey. And, I don't have time to go into the details of that, but suffice to say, there is a certain level of commitment out there today, which I think is impressive. The vampire squid, Goldman Sachs. David was a former CEO of Goldman Sachs. He'll talk a bit about that later. Last week, they announced a $40 billion commitment to renewable energy. That's impressive. That's a big number. China, often seen as the major problem when it comes to, basically they're the biggest emitter in the world right now, and they're recreating many of the problems that we've created in the West in terms of the industrial mindset when building out an economy. They just committed a further $27 billion to energy efficiency initiatives within the country on top of an incredible green stimulus package that's already in place. There's many other examples. However, the financial system is failing many people. We saw the Occupy Wall Street movement. We've heard a lot about civil movements today. There are two levels of conversation here. One is how sustainable is the financial system in and of itself? Is the boom and bust cycle that we're going through, something that is sustainable? We're based a lot of things on the efficient market theory. We heard Dimitri talk about, and a couple of the other speakers, I think, talk about how futile that mentality is, but it still is all pervasive. There are issues around the financialization of the economy and what that means for genuine innovation. Some people argue that a lot of the top talent in the world is attracted to, getting involved in creating very esoteric derivative products, for example, that actually don't create any real value on the ground. So the gap between real investing and financial market activity has often, dragged talent out of the real economy and into this sort of synthetic world of just money making that has no bearing to reality. So there are many sort of dark sides to the financial system. And I just use that quick kind of run through of some of the issues as a way of sort of introducing my partner, friend, and boss, David, who is going to talk about sustainable capitalism, really within the context of some of the barriers that we face to moving the financial system and the capital system to a more sustainable footing.